At this point, I had had enough video parts come out that I was like, all right, well, I want to really like outdo myself. And in order to do that, I need to really like consider what I've done before and try to like improve on that. If I would have an idea at any point of the day, at night, whatever, a spot popped in my mind, what I wanted, I would write it down. And then I would go strategically one by one, methodically. Like I wouldn't skip tricks. It would just be like, oh, this one's the first on the list. This is the first trick I want to go get. I had the skate park back then as well. I remember my routine was during the week, practice a trick all week, try to mimic whatever the spot was as best I could with what I had in the park. And then on the weekend, go to the spot, try to film it. If I didn't get it, back to the park all week, back the next weekend and film it. And sometimes I would go back 3-4 weeks in a row. So this part was like probably one of the longest parts it took me to film up to that point, because I became so obsessive about a specific trick. I had a specific vision I wanted, and I wouldn't move on to another trick until I got that clip and checked it off. And that's still kind of how I approach filming now to this day. But this video part is where that habit started. This, Heathmo filmed this. That was a rare front heel. Very fun. This is at Colin McKay's house. This is 11th Stair. He built this house from scratch. Beautiful mansion. And I used to just go there, stay at his crib. He had a guest house. He used to let me stay in the guest house. And I would just, all right, dude, can I go skate the stairs? And I would get clips at his crib. Nollie front foot flip. I was hyped on that one, dude. That one was, I was psyched. That's right here. You land in his backyard, you go to the left right there, his pool's right there. Nollie hard flip too. He had rails that you could go skate too. This is in Burbank, a rare frontside flip for me. Actually, back then it wasn't rare. For some reason these days it was rare, but I don't know why. Samples, I was skating samples of my P-Rod 3, Nike SBs, El Camino High, love this place. Yeah, dude, I remember I was very methodical about this part right here. I wanted it to be super impressive. I really wanted to like leave a mark. There's one trick in this video part that didn't make it that I'm so bummed about, that I've talked about before. This ledge right here, and it came out in a photo, I want to say Thrasher. I switched back nose blended it. I was so nervous. It's a pretty scary ledge, especially for that time. But like during the process of Heath and Dario sitting there transferring footage on the hard drive, somebody forgot to save it. It wasn't all the hard drive. They erased the card, whatever happened, and the footage disappeared. I was devastated. Devastated, because I was so proud of that trick. But I got a really dope photo. It did open the way for the ending trick of this part, which we'll get there. So in Arizona, we were staying at a house, Plan B rented a house, we were staying there. That was good. Skated with Tori that day at that rail. Forget what Tori did, but probably something awesome. Super hyped on this line, or these lines, the mirror lines. Hoops filmed this, so shout out to my boy Hoops, one of the funniest men in skateboarding. Guy Mariano was here this day, him and Mike Mo. And this was when like Guy was coming back, during that Return of Guy era. Man, this school at this point was the best ledges ever. Yo, the way I dressed was so different right here. I remember I went skating this spot that day with Jimmy Gorecki and Terry Kennedy. Terry drove us in his Chevy Avalanche that day. This day, Neen Williams was here skating that day, I remember. Oh, this trick I've never done again, but I was so hyped on it. These ledges I used to love. They were the shittiest ledges, but also the best ledges. That trick I was really excited about. There was an earthquake that day, I remember, while we were at the spot. This spot. I just posted another clip today that I don't know why that this line wasn't in this video, but this line I was super hyped on. Then I did another line with half cab crook, front foot flip out. I was in my front foot flip phase heavy. That was the day of the Manny Pacquiao Ricky Hatton fight. This is Dominican Republic. I landed that last try. The cops came, and I just committed all the way. Ventura 15. I'm so glad I was able to get a trick on that on those stairs, man. They were so good. This was the first trick I filmed for this video part. This was the first trick I wrote on the list. And this was a gap in Simi Valley by my house where I was living at the time. Probably went back for this 4 times, and I was so hyped when I did that. I went back a lot for this one too, probably 4 or 5 times as well. This one was hard. But like, I was really in the mindset of trying to outdo myself and push myself and like show that I was still in the game. This last try too, this guy sprayed the ground. He was trying to kick us out, and I asked him for one more try. He said, all right, one more try. And I landed the nollie hard flip, and as you can see, he's spraying his hose. As soon as I land, he starts spraying the the ground to make sure we weren't gonna skate no more, bastard. This one, again, it was one of those situations I rolled up a million times. I was so scared, I was so nervous. Did it second try. And then here, boom. To my knowledge, at this time, I don't remember anyone else having switchback nose blunt at a rail yet. That's what was something I was really, really proud of. Oliver Barton shot that, covered. So hyped on that. I was terrified. It probably took me 3 hours to switchback nose blunt that rail, but I probably only tried 10 times. I was rolling up, rolling up, rolling up. I would switch back lip it, switch back lip it, switch back lip it, like, so scared. So try one. And then another half hour later or 10 minutes later, whatever, finally muster up the courage, try 2. And then finally, 3 hours later, but like 10th try, landed it, like so relieved, so psyched. I remember we went to the Century City Mall right after that, ate some good old food. I had a big ass burger. I was so proud of myself. This right here, I've told this story before, but this was originally supposed to be the knack in Street Dreams. And I just didn't get it good enough to do it down the rail. And this is the one and only time I've ever done it, and I don't know that I've seen anyone do it since. Look how high I had to nollie just to get high enough. Man, I'm so proud of this one. I mean, I was working on this. Would this come out in 2010? Street Dreams, we started filming in 2006. That means I would have had to have thought of doing this trick in 2005 at least, because Rob, when we were leading up to the filming of Street Dreams, was telling me like, look, we want a trick, we're gonna call it the knack, but like, I want it to be something that's never been done before. I want it to be groundbreaking. I want it to be like next level. And I was like, fuck, like that's a lot of pressure, you know? Like, and this is the trick that came to mind, and I told him about it, and he was like, yes. And dude, I was working, trying to develop it and I just didn't get it in time that we had to film. And by chance, I'd went on a Nike trip to Mallorca, and they had these really cool little hubbas in Mallorca. I was trying to film tray flip nose side down these hubbas, and one of them I locked on crook, perfect, and grinded all the way to the bottom, almost landed it, didn't land it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I can do it. So I ended up saying, fuck the tray flip nose side, I want to try that. So I kept trying, and I did. I got the tray flip crook, and it's in my Nothing But the Truth part, tray flip crook, down the hubba, boom, landed it. So I was like, okay, I never seen nobody. At that time, people weren't doing that one. Then I was like, okay, I think this could be the knack. Like, I don't think I got the nollie front foot flip crook ready for like a rail yet. So I told Rob, and he was like, okay, I like that. And that's what became the knack in Street Dream. Oh, and another thing about this video part is, you guys know, maybe not everyone knows, but this was the first skate video part, solo person part that ever dropped on iTunes. And I was, again, like with Forecast, trying to like pave the way of like skateboarders and the filmers being able to earn off of their own work. And that was not being done then at this point in time. I think really only a couple parts got out like that until that whole plan got ruined because video parts started getting put out for free. But like Shane dropped his on the Barracks, so it's me and Shane. I dropped this and then Shane dropped his on the Barracks. It was like a really good plan. With this one, we got the rights to the song, sold on Apple. Apple took their little portion, then I took my cut, did really well, especially for that time. I was so excited because I'd never gotten checks off a video part before, you know what I mean? Nobody was doing their own solo parts at this time. It was kind of a blessing in disguise because this was supposed to be my part for the next Plan B video, but I was dead serious about filming and focusing on top of my game, that when I had a full part going, nobody really else had a part, and we were nowhere near to putting out a full-length video. So I was just like, I talked to Danny and Colin, and like, hey guys, like, well, like, I got this idea of something I want to do out of this opportunity. Like, if we're still like over a year or two out, what year did True come out? Did it end up coming out? Because this was 2010, 2014. Yeah. So like, I was 4 years ahead of when it if I'd have sat on this footage for 4 years, it would have got outdated, you know? And kids, you got to remember, back then we used to film for video parts for like multiple years straight. It wasn't Instagram, there wasn't, YouTube might have been around, but it wasn't the normal to put your footage out on YouTube. So it wasn't like footage just dropping all the time. It was like people were saving up and putting out video parts. So I'm thinking like, damn, dude, I gotta wait for these guys. How long is this gonna take? I'm a little grumpy about it. But then I had an opportunity, so I talked to the guy and said, hey, look, I wanna put this part out. I wanna do my own project, and I wanna like try something new that's never been done. And it worked. But then everybody else wasn't patient enough or wasn't trying to follow along with this program and just kind of let their footage all put out for free, which, whatever, there's no right or wrong, but I'm just saying, like, for those of you who don't know, most pro skateboarders, like, it's hard. It's hard out here, like, with sponsorships and making a living and, like, being able to survive off being a pro skateboarder. Like, most pro skateboarders, it's tough. So this was, like, another idea I had, another avenue I had, like, to create another lane for people. But try to teach them how to be kings, but all they want to be is soldiers, you know? So that's it. That's all she wrote. That was Me, Myself, and I, 2010. Supposed to be Plan B video part. Ended up being, I think, the only single video part that came out on Apple, on iTunes. And I tried my ass off for that, so hopefully you guys enjoyed.